Hey, Paige is back. We were
Yes.
just introducing Paige and bragging about the two memoirs that she wrote, After the Truth and Akin to the Truth. And I was just sharing that I know how difficult writing one memoir is, let alone two. That's quite a huge endeavor. But Paige is going to share with us this evening a little bit about her story and about the importance of writing and how it's helped her heal. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Paige.
Awesome. Thank you, Marcie. And thank you, Dave. Thank you, Jennifer, because you guys know the technology better than I do for presenting all the slides. I'm here, I'm just pushing a few buttons, but they're like the magicians in all this. So, all right, I guess we go to slide number 1, right?
Yep, let's get her up and going.
Okay. Drum roll. All right, well, yeah, had we been able to have this presentation for real, that would have been my opening page. So, and originally, Lynn Grubb, Lorraine, and Marcie, and possibly Dave, and possibly, Sherry. Yeah, they were going to be in on this presentation too, but of course, yeah, things happened, and yeah. So anybody, on that panel, feel free to jump in and say something. I'm totally good with that. So that was just the cover page, if you will. So next slide. All right, so I guess the first thing I thought of when I was trying to put things together to talk about, other than going blank and going, what motivates you if you want to write? And I'm going to kind of blanket this and go with any kind of art form, because writing is just only one form of art. There's music, there's, actual visual art, there's, dance, there's so many forms of art out there that writing is just only one form of it. Different people have different reasons why they start writing. Your kids, if you have kids or young people in your family, might be one reason. And it was for me, because they started asking, when they got to that age, they started asking about who's who in the family, and they were real confused. My kids were born after reunion, so they didn't know the difference for a long time. But then they started wondering about that. So I had to kind of explain things. And then they got to a point where it was a lot easier to just start writing stuff down, so that when they're old enough, they can just read about it. Other family and friends might be something that motivates you to write, or they're great fodder for stories sometimes. We all know that, right? A specific experience, if you've gone through something that, I got to write that down. I got to, whether it's a good experience, bad experience, or just something that's just one of those markers in your life, it's sometimes those are great things to write about. I was encouraged by teachers. I had a great 4th grade teacher. That was the first time in school that anybody said, hey, you should do this, you're good, and so I felt, praised and accepted for that. So that was a positive experience for me. You do get people sometimes, if they've seen your work, and you should write a book about that, especially when you tell them your adoption story. That there's a lot of people that make that comment, and sometimes it's just what people say, but sometimes there can be some truth to that. So it just depends on what you do with it. They're just some people, creative people, there's just something that's inside you that is driving. It's like a motor, and you just got to get it out. You just got to do something. You got to present. So again, everybody's got a little something different, or a combination of things that motivates them to do something creative. Again, not limiting it to only writing, but in my case, that's what it is. So next slide. Yeah, I like fun stuff. I like fun memes. I like cute stuff, got to put a few ha-has in there, because why not, right? We got to have a little fun with all this. So next slide. Awesome. Why writing and other creative art is a good thing. Okay, here's my list of why at least why it's a good thing for me. Um, it can be cathartic and therapeutic. Sometimes when you can write stuff out and get it out of your system, sometimes you write stuff out and it starts making better sense than it did when it was in your head. Um, it's hard to explain that better than that unless you go through that, but that's something I would say for everybody to at least try. If you've got stuff going on in your head, write it down on either on a piece of paper or on the computer, whatever works, and see if it makes better sense that way. It can be a form of entertainment. Right now, we're all sitting around going, oh, what to do, right? Especially if we're not working the way we were working. And, this is a good time to find sources of entertainment and sources of projects and things we could do. Writing or some sort of art form might be that for you. A great It's a mental exercise. It does stimulate your brain. It forces you sometimes to go think of words or better words to use rather than the words you use all the time. And it just makes your brain work. So it's a good thing in that way. You get something done, you've accomplished something. There are a lot of people that go through the day and think they never got anything done. But if you can write even 2 paragraphs, sometimes that's a huge accomplishment for somebody. It doesn't matter how much you write, as long as whatever you write makes you feel good. That's kind of where you start with it. Praise and possible financial reward. Hopefully you get praise. Hopefully you get some money. Probably aren't going to get life-changing, amazing money like Stephen King money, because I'll be honest, that doesn't happen. But if it can be a hobby that doesn't drain you financially, then that's a good thing. Um, and again, if you're putting good out there in the world for other people, helping out other people maybe because they read your words and they get some understanding and they're not alone. So that's enough. Um, it can lead to better interpersonal relationships and building connections. For example, a bunch of us, all of us, you meet other people who write like you do, whether they're in the adoption community or in other circles. It's just kind of nice to build those connections and have the possibility to do that. And, as adoptees, especially, um, we all matter. We all have something to say, and everything matters. Everything counts, and that's a good thing. If you're having a hard time finding ways to figure out something to do or something to write, or you're like, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to write about that. There's some music works for some people, and everybody has a different definition of what their good music is or what their good in the zone music is. So whatever that is for you, for some people it's classical. I'm more of a 60s, 70s, and 80s pop kind of person. It just, whatever works for you is what you do in the way of music. And for some people it's silence, because that's just the way their brain works best. So I can get inspired after a really good workout, a really decent exercise kind of moment. Yard work, because that can also be creative if you're trying to do something pretty in your yard or something just cool, and arrange things and you're looking at colors and where am I going to put this and that kind of thing. If you're doing some other creative project, a couple summers ago, I was working on refurbishing an old dollhouse that we had before my granddaughter was born. She'll soon be old enough to actually use the thing, but I had some downtime 2 years ago, man, and I just went for it and started fixing up that dollhouse so it'll be good and ready for when the time comes. So other creative projects. Some people can sew. All these people out there sewing masks and things like that right now. You just never know what other creative projects you have. People can do T-shirts. People can, all kinds of things out there. Things I can't even think of that people can do. Sometimes there are movies and books that call to me. I've got a bunch of those. When we get to the next slide, you'll see that. Cleaning, believe it or not, because when you've cleaned out your stuff, your physical, literal stuff in your home or in your closet or wherever, it cleans out your head too a little bit. And so that sometimes is a thing that will at least like make me go, okay, that's done. Now I can write. And then sometimes too, a good chat with other creative type people is the thing that works. I'm in a writers group, like with live actual people, and then, you know, do some online stuff too. And either way, I can be very charged up and very motivated and very excited after I've spent time with those guys. So next slide. Okay, this is what holds you back, what inhibits you. Sadly, this happens to people. You've had a bad past experience because somebody was a jerk to you when you were trying to share something creative, and they, you know, try to, what do you call it, gaslight you or discredit you or invalidate you. You're worried about that rejection or that failure. These are all valid reasons to be worried or be concerned that, you know, your creativity, you know, should I be doing this? Should I be putting myself out there? But you should still do it. I'm just saying these are valid reasons why people sometimes don't do the creative thing and want to share it. Just sometimes some people, like, I suck at technology. I'll be very honest. I'm no good at that. Right now I have time because I'm not in school every day. But I'm learning technology, but I'm not that gifted at it. So that sometimes that can be a limiting thing. Some people financially just don't have the resources to do things. I have a friend that still kind of lives off the grid because financially that's all she can afford. She goes to public libraries to get online, but she doesn't really have the resources herself. Again, time, distractions. If you got work going on, you got people are in classes, you got kids, your dog, your cat, whatever, your parents, you've got something on TV you want to watch. I totally get that. I totally get that. It's like I grew up being told, well, you can't watch TV till you get your homework done. Well, now I'm an adult and maybe I want to watch TV, you know. Yeah, all kinds of things. Social media things or gaming, watching the news right now. That's a big one, right? That can distract us from a lot of stuff. And just, again, worrying about disapproval from other people, that especially the ones that matter to you, not even strangers. It's like some people can handle it from a stranger, but if it happens from people you know, or you do legit worry about what would my boss think if my boss saw that. That can kind of hold people back sometimes. Or just thinking, oh, it's not good enough. It's not compelling enough. Nobody's going to be interested in that. But you never know. You really never know until you put something out there and try. So, all right, next slide. Yeah, there's my distractions. So, like I said, I like some funny memes here. I love this one. Stay tuned. You're going to have so much more to be pissed about, to all my haters. You worry sometimes about putting something out there in writing and it offending somebody. This is a little more on the inspirational side than the funny side, but that's okay. Hey, it's Bob Ross. So yeah, he's a cool guy. All right, next slide. Yeah, this is a concern that people have, but I love this quote. You own everything that happened to you. Tell your stories. If people wanted you to write warmly about them, they should have behaved better. So sometimes, especially if we're writing from personal experiences, even if we claim it as fiction, readers see themselves in something that was written, whether they know who the author is or not, and they might not like it. Same thing. Sometimes it's the reason why we don't like a certain TV show or a certain movie or a certain play too. But it is what it is at a certain point. It just is what it is. So, okay, next slide. Yeah, and here's how you can get yourself started if it's really hard for you. These are things that worked for me. And again, everybody's got their own ways of doing things in their own styles and their own, again, other writers on the panel, if anybody wants to jump in with a thought here, you know, feel free to do so.
I have a thought I want to share.
Oh, sure thing.
You're really, those of you that know me really well will get a huge kick out of this. Okay. Years back when I first started, and I was having the same thing. It's like, especially when you're not a writer per se, and you don't know how to get started, you don't know where the starting point is. I was playing a bunch of music, and I was listening to Eminem. Okay, don't everybody laugh. You remember the song "Lose Yourself"?
Probably
Okay,
know it if I heard it.
Okay, he motivated me. I was like, "What is this?" Because it starts out with that really motivational beat, and then he talks about opportunity and taking your one shot, and you've really just got to just do it and lose yourself.
Okay.
That was mine. I had a moment with Eminem.
Yeah. It's like, who knew, right? I mean, sometimes it's the darndest songs and the darndest performers sometimes are the ones that actually it works. Yeah. Yeah, at the end of this slide thing, I've got a good one that kind of works for me. That the first time I heard the song, I was like, oh God, I've heard that 1,000 times. Oh, I don't want to hear it again. And then I listened to it once in a serious way, and I went, oh my gosh. So yeah, it's just the darndest thing sometimes. Yeah, if it works for you, have a playlist of tunes that'll help you. Again, your tunes are, everybody likes something different, and some people it's country music, some people it's rap music, and some people it's classical, and some people it's just oldies. It just depends on, and if you're writing about a certain period of time in the past, maybe music from that era might be the thing that works. You never know. Always have whatever beverage works for you with you when you're writing, and that might be different at different times of day, but coffee gets you going, as they say. Set a timer if you need to set a timer. I've done this with students too, to get kids to do work or stay on task for a certain amount of time. Set that timer of, all right, I'm going to do this and I'm going to buckle down for X amount of time, or I'm going to get certain things done and then I'm going to buckle down. I have a hard time with sitting down at the computer and then I smell my cat litter box. No, I'm not writing right now. I got to take care of that. So just get up, take care of that. Then I realize, oh, they need food in the dish. Okay, well, I better go take care of that because otherwise they'll be bad and they'll interrupt me too. Then I notice there's something in the sink that needs to get put in the dishwasher, and I'll do that. And then I'll notice something that's laying on the floor that I need to pick up and put on the table. And, so it's like set yourself a limit. Okay, I'm going to do like 3 jobs, or maybe it's 4, maybe it's only 2. Set yourself a limit, stick with it, then set a timer, buckle down, do what you're really supposed to be doing in the way of the writing thing. Then you can go back and do some more little other things. But yeah, there's sometimes you do have to clear your plate a little bit before you can put more on the plate is kind of the way I look at that. Yeah, I put, like, my go-to is put the dirty dishes in the sink into the dishwasher because I don't want to look at them. I don't want to think about that. I poop or scoop. And I'll start a load of wash, because what can you do? Once it's in the washer and it's going for about 30, 40 minutes, nothing you can do, right? Just let it wash. So you might as well go do your own thing while the machines are doing their thing. So, and then if you have to, some people are better about this than other people, put that phone on silent or put it in the other room or something so that doesn't distract you either. Because yeah, we can be in the middle of so many things and ding, we're doing something, ding, and so then you just stop doing what you're supposed to be doing because too many distractions sometimes. So, all right, next slide. Where are we at? Oh yeah, these are some other things. I won't start writing and stuff. I got to brush my teeth first. I feel like I got to be clean, just the way I am. And it's okay. I had a cousin, she's a birth cousin, that she also writes. And this was kind of her advice when she writes, that it's okay to be boring or crappy or something for a while. Ding. I don't know if anybody heard that. My phone just went off. But just write. No matter how crappy it is, just write. Edit later. Forget about it. Just get it out. Yeah, set a timer, set a limit. Yeah. my kid is dinging me and I'm going to like be in the zone right now. And if you just, if you feel it and you're, oh, wait a minute, I'm in the middle of my job, I really can't right now. Do what you can to at least jot down thoughts, and then so that you'll have it there for you can go back to it later. Because sometimes this stuff, the creativity is kind of spontaneous. You can't just like call it up and like, okay, now, sometimes it hits you when you're driving in the car. Sometimes it hits you when you're trying to do something important at work. And just jot down some thoughts to kind of get your system calmed down, and so that you can go back to it later. And if you're writing and a thought occurs to you that's really, really good, but it's not in the right order, don't worry about that either. Just write and get it out there. And it counts toward your writing goal, even if it's not in sequential order. You can always go back and fill in gaps later. So next slide. Yes, definitely find yourself a writers group, an online group, or a real life group, or both. It is truly better than therapy. You get a lot of good, you have accountability, because the real life writing group that I'm in, they want you to bring something to the meeting that you can share. And if you don't have something to share, they're not going to hit you over the head with a wet noodle, but you're still going to be accountable for listening and participating when other people share. So, and you get ideas from that, and it's fun too. The social benefits, just being able to talk with other people that have a hobby or an interest in common with you. So you've got that common bond going on. And you can learn from other people. You can learn what's a good thing to do. You can also learn, oh, I'm never going to do that. Works both ways. And you get feedback from them, and you give feedback to them. So it's a great thing. Find a group of people like you in that way. So next slide. And yeah, if you're getting to that point where you've got something, especially in the way of written work done, find an editor. Don't just like hit that button there on create space or whatever and make it. Make sure that it is professionally edited. Most of us, just because of perspective and personal bias, it's really, really hard to self-edit. You can to a point, and it can be good to a point, but it's always good to go through an editor, and an editor that's not just a friend in your writers group, but a professional editor that can say, well, this is where this goes, and this is where this goes, and this is not really the correct use of that word, even though we understand that. And also, too, the editor can talk with you about what are your goals, whether or not you want to write for yourself, if this is purely entertainment, if it is something you actually want to seriously publish and pursue traditional publishing. They have good information about those kind of things. So have a professional editor that you can work with. And there are many out there that they aren't ridiculous expensive either. They just give you all kinds of good advice about what you can do with what you wrote. They're the ultimate feedback. So next slide. Yeah. Again, a funny meme, because I like funny memes. And yeah, have a good person that can help you with technology, unless you are that talented. This is probably me in 20, 30 years in this picture. Because yeah, my husband is my technology guy, who can help me with the stuff that I have no idea how to do, or I don't understand the directions of something. He can explain it, and he can just do it. So have somebody who can help you with things like that. All right. This is a link to a TED Talk that at my workplace, I teach in a school, part of our continuing ed, we had to listen to this guy. And he talks about flow and being in the zone, and how that creates happiness for people, and how it's a positive thing, and everybody needs to have moments in their life, whether it's through writing or through other endeavors. It doesn't have to be a writing thing. But there's a link there, and if you can't get to it, I mean, we can always send out the link later. It's a good talk, and it doesn't take a long time to listen to this guy talk about what being in the zone and the happiness benefits that you can get from that. And a lot of times when we're being creative, and it can happen too from exercise, it can happen from many, many projects that we get into, like when we're so involved and we're not thinking about anybody else and we're like, go away. I'm like, but there's a happiness to that. And that's what this talk was about. And I just thought I'd share it with everybody because we had to listen to this for a continuing ed thing at work. And like I said, it was a good one. It was a good professional development thing. So next slide. This is that song I was telling you about, and you've probably heard it. And if you can't think of it, you'd probably know it if you heard the actual video or the actual song. And I'd heard it on the radio about 10 zillion times. And I was sitting in a music class with some students that I'm an academic aide. I'm working with special needs kids in different subject areas. This goes back to like 2007, 2008. I was sitting in a music appreciation class with some kids, and the teacher put this song on, and the kids were supposed to, I don't know, this younger kids, draw a picture or something that they felt like went with the song or something like that. And I seriously listened to the lyrics for the first time. My first thought was, oh God, that song again? Oh, I just heard it. Oh, now it's going to be stuck in my head. And I listened to it in class, and I actually really liked it. And then I thought, well, I don't care if it's stuck in my head because I kind of like it now. And the lyrics were really, really meaningful, especially as a writer. But I can see that it could apply to other artistic endeavors too. So we don't have to read through them all now. But if you've heard this song, or if you Google it or go to YouTube and pull it up, and I think that's the next slide, that's the link, the YouTube link to that song. I thought it was cool. So I just wanted to share it, put that out there. So that I think is it on my slides, I think.
That is the end.
Yeah, that's the end. Yeah. So there we are.
Paige, would you like to take a little bit of time and share with everyone this evening your personal story, just a little bit about and what got you writing?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. In other words, just like, how did it start out for me, kind of thing?
Yeah, and the walk through your personal adoption story.
The adoption story. Okay. I'm an Ohio adoptee, born in 61, adopted in 62. So at the time of my adoption, the records were still open. I didn't know that though, and I don't think my parents that adopted me were aware of that. I think at the time, all they cared about was adopting a kid. And they weren't like, I don't care about those laws. I just want to get a kid, kind of thing. And so in their mind, because it was a closed adoption, in their mind, they interpreted the law as, oh, it's closed forever. They didn't understand the small loophole of, oh, if you're born and adopted before 1964, it's might be closed till you're like 18, but then you can access your records as an adult. So I didn't know that because I grew up believing it was closed. But then I found out through watching a TV talk show with my husband back in the 80s that was not the case, and my records were actually opened after all. So I was about 26 or so at the time, 26, 27. And I thought, well, what do I got to lose? And it was like, just write for the paperwork, because why not? That's my paperwork, man. I want that paperwork. And it's kind of like the Pringles jar, right? No one can eat just one. Then it was like, I want some more. I want to know more. I want to know more. So it's like, just keep going back for more. And As I got something, then I wanted something else. And then I wanted to know about this person. Then I wanted to know about that person. Then I wanted to know what happened over here. And where are these people now? And I just kept going and going and going. And throughout the course of one summer in 87, of course, I'm a teacher, so I was off all summer. So I had a lot of time on my hands and no kids yet. And I found everybody within the course of 3 months, which for the 80s and no technology like today was pretty fast. And in fact, my birth father, I found him in 3 days, which was almost like what happens with people today, but without Facebook and stuff. And that was pure luck because he lived in the same house and never moved. So, and he lived 20 minutes away all this time. And it was, pretty incredible. When I found my birth mother's family, I made contact with them first. I knew that my birth father at the time in the 80s was going through job loss. And I thought, I just knew that's not the time to bother people. You're going through losing your job. We all know what that feels like. And we know what that threat of it feels like. Mm-hmm. And that was just like, no, I had even been laid off the same year and I got rehired, but I went through that layoff thing and the loss of that. But no, I'm not gonna bother him because I know what that's like. I can relate. And I found my birth mother's family first, but I found her ex-husband, and he told me I couldn't find her. I could only find her ex, or the guy she was married to, but he turned out married to somebody else. And I used old city directories, which don't really exist anymore. And I don't know if any libraries even have them anymore, but they were old crisscross Williams directories. I don't know if they exist in other people's towns or not. But that's what I used at the time. And I just pulled like 20 of them off the shelves and just started tracking people one by one by one, year by year by year with them. And in the downtown public library. And so anyway, I found my birth mother's ex-husband, and he told me that she'd passed away in Long Beach, California, but he wanted to meet me, and he knew I had a sister. He knew I had 2 sisters, and he had, I think because of drugs and stuff, he kind of had a spotty memory, but he had a good enough memory to tell me just enough that I was able to find her second husband in Long Beach, California, my birth mother's second husband in Long Beach, California. And lucky for me, he never moved either, and he was still in the same address for like 25 years. So when I found her death certificate, because if I knew she died, there was a death certificate out there, and it had the home address on it. And so I was able to find him, which meant I was able to find my sisters. So wow. All 3 of us have a different dad. And, but yeah, so, and of course we're all in touch. We're all, 2 summers ago, it'd be 2 summers ago this summer, we met up and had a 30-year reuniversary together. And we went to Disneyland in Southern California.
Oh, fun.
It was fun.
That's really special.
Yeah. So we had a real good time. And just first time the 3 of us had really, other than for like 15 minutes here or there, because we all live so far apart, first time we were all able to actually just be together without everybody's kids and husbands and boyfriends and people around, so it was kind of nice. Just for 4 solid days, it was just the 3 of us. We went to the cemetery and things like that, and just, but it was fun. We just had a real good time together, just being 3 wild girls together, for lack of a better way to describe it. So, great. And then my sister's here in town. I've got 1 half brother and then 3 sisters. The half brother, he's kind of a hermit, but he's kind of a hermit with everybody. So it's nothing I take personally because, hey, he ignores me the same as he ignores everybody else. So what's the difference there, right? And but the one sister, she's kind of off by herself too, even with the other two sisters. But three of us were, always texting and always talking about our kids or grandkids or, just stuff that's going on, or jobs or whatever. So, and they're in town, and, we've gotten together a lot. So
Great,
yeah,
great. Well,
it's all
thank
good.
you. Well,
Hmm.
thank you. Well, I know we have a lot of writers out there, and I know we have some upcoming writers out there. So I'd kind of like to open it up to questions for Paige or any comments